Oh my God.
Whoa.
Should I put it up a little? Oh my God.
We're old.
We're old. I'm old.
Hey everyone. Welcome back to Notier's Frontiers Diaries. Today we are in Colorado once again. It's incredible, such a beautiful day as well. And we are going to talk about in this episode one of the most amazing things that has ever happened to us.
And to be clear, a lot of amazing things have happened to us.
Yeah.
A lot of odd things that people would not assume.
Yeah.
So we are very lucky.
This was particularly mind-blowing though. So we had come to Florida, and it was just really to see family and to explore a little bit, but we didn't think that it was going to turn into an international trip.
No. Well, and like the trip has been kind of snowpiling up to that point of being really exciting, of seeing my mother all by itself was a reason enough, but then it was, Leo was there, our buddy that we had met in Africa, in Namibia.
And we traveled with him in Rwanda and in Uganda.
We lived with them in Uganda, and then we went down to Key West, which was amazing and very hot at the same time. And so, good things just kept happening.
Yeah.
And we did ride down to Florida, which is the peninsula leading into the Atlantic Ocean without any land borders to any foreign countries. So we did not bring our passports to Florida, because we're on a motorcycle. And Cuba is 90 miles from Key West, but I don't have enough gas to just throttle it and just keep it going.
Go across the water like a jet ski.
Yeah, I don't think we'd make it. So logically, we did not bring our passports.
Exactly.
And that came to bite us in the butt. Who would have thought?
And mysteriously enough, we had met a truck driver who had also met Leo on another occasion, which is weird in and of itself.
Yeah.
But he said to us, you know what you're going to do? You're going to go to Miami, and then you're going to go to the Bahamas. And we were like, no.
Sounds cool, but we're not going to the Bahamas.
Yeah. But then, as we met up with Leo in Sarasota, which was fantastic, Leo asked us, like, hey, I might have an opportunity to get you guys to the Bahamas if you would like to come along. And we thought, wait, what?
Yeah. Well, of course. Who's like, hey, you want to go to the Bahamas? And I was like, nah, dude, I don't want to go to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
So, of course, and I kind of, there's like the British Virgin Islands and American islands and stuff. And so, like, I was like, do you need a passport? Like, I'm fairly certain that the Bahamas is not.
It is another country.
It is another country. I was like, you need a passport, though, right? And he's like, well, of course. It's another country, which you need passports for. You've been halfway around the world and you haven't grabbed onto this concept yet, But I was like, we didn't bring our passports. Yeah. But I called my dad, and he FedEx next day aired our passports. So little traveling tip: even if you're going to the last place you think you're going to need your passport, bring it along.
And one of the coolest things about this Bahamas trip was that we were going to take a little 6-seater propeller plane.
Single propeller.
There. From Miami.
me and planes, it's a convenient way of getting places, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
But like, I always say there's 3 things I don't like about flying. It's the taking off, the flying part in air, and then the landing. So I'm almost a nervous wreck the entire time. You know, I try to enjoy looking down at beautiful scenery.
Yeah.
But and then that fear kind of grows. I don't know. It's pretty much the same as the large aircraft, because the large aircraft, there's a lot of hustle and bustle and.
Actually, I wasn't as scared as I thought I would be. I also do not enjoy flying. I like the feeling of the ground beneath my feet, you know, or beneath our tires, I should say. When the ground is not beneath our tires, I get nervous. Same with boats. It's a little unnerving, but not like flying. Flying is very unnerving to me. But actually, it went really, really well. Now, we were warned as right before this flight that it was going to go beep, beep, beep.
Warning.
Altitude.
Warning.
Altitude.
You know, and we got the little headsets on, you know.
Yeah, we were patched in to
kind of
everything they were saying.
Muffles. But when on some of these smaller planes, and who knows, I've never been in the cockpit of the large ones, but I can only assume that, but like, when you change altitudes from, you know, 2,500 feet to 3,500 feet, as soon as you make that ascent to that next step, there's a warning saying, hey, what you had programmed in is now changing.
Yeah.
But it would just keep on bleep, bleep, bleep. Altitude. Warning.
Altitude.
Warning. You know, and I'm just like, ah. But
so we left Miami and it was beautiful. And then we could see these tiny islands they're part of the Bahamas and they're called Bimini.
Bimini.
And it's actually not that far from Miami. It was only 20 minutes flying. But it was really only when we started coming in for landing that it would say altitude, altitude,
and then terrain.
Terrain.
Beep, 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 beep. Terrain.
Terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain ahead. Terrain ahead. Terrain ahead.
And the craziest part of it was that, so there was no one at the control tower there.
There was no
Apparently,
control tower.
They don't have a
to be
control
clear.
tower. It's just this tiny island.
It's just these small little planes that come in and out, and then it's just kind of air control to each other. So you kind of just make a, like, hey, anybody out there, we're coming into Bimini. Bimini, we're landing. And if no one says, oh, I'm 5 miles out there, then we'll be, you know, you kind of just judge where you are.
And we could hear all that, and I could hear the pilot, you know, saying, oh, he's coming in for landing and stuff. But there was no response. And I thought, uh-oh, what's going on? And then we started our descent. All these warnings are like, terrain ahead, terrain ahead.
Too low terrain. Too low terrain.
Suddenly, before we hit the ground, he pulls up again. And I thought, oh no, like this is really, really bad. Like we couldn't make the landing and there's something wrong. But it had turned out that that particular runway was under construction.
And both runways were like...
Yeah, I mean, not like...
They were flattened
pavement.
land, right?
Yeah.
One was like exposed earth, and that was the one that was under construction, I assume. But the one that was asphalt was, it had asphalt.
It had potholes.
And it had potholes too. You know, and it is kind of scary when you're coming into land and like, you know, he's got kind of the butt of the plane up to, you know, land flushly, and I can see the terrain, and it just looks like this kind of jagged. I wouldn't want to ride my motorcycle on it, let it land a plane on it.
Yeah.
But we landed.
It was
a deep breath.
Yeah, I could feel my heart just pounding through my chest, and I was really thankful once we hit land again.
Yeah. And in the little, when we went down and then didn't land and then made a big arc, it was really pretty because then we got like a 90, we're now flying at a pretty sharp angle just to make a big loop. And you can see like the reef, and you can see
the bottom of, it was very shallow shoreline.
So
you could see that
beautiful.
white sand just rippling underneath those turquoise waves and all the different colors of the sea.
Yeah.
It was amazing and a really good introduction to Bimini and the Bahamas. So we stayed there overnight, and it was amazing. Like, we went to beaches that we've been to many incredible beaches all over the world.
But I don't know. This was like a sandals commercial.
Yeah.
This was like a Caribbean cruise. Oh,
It was mind-blowing as we
Yeah.
walked up. You might even look at this footage and think that, we missed
we
the
dragged
colors
the
or something.
saturation
Yeah.
over. No.
But no, it was that color, and my jaw just dropped. I'm like, is this for real? The beach was white sand, and it just made the color of the ocean so aquamarine. It was like glowing aquamarine. I couldn't believe it.
It was beautiful.
Unbelievable.
And I am not one for oceans. I don't like things that swim in the sea. I'm sorry, Sebastian and the Little Mermaid. But I am not a fan. But this, I'm more confident when you can look down and you can see your toes and you can see things way off in the distance. And like when you step on something and you're like, was that a turtle or a land? Like a sea urchin? Like, I don't know.
Crystal clear.
It's crystal clear. So very safe waters for those paranoid of large bodies of water,
Yes.
such as myself.
Perfect.
I
Perfect
enjoyed
beaches.
myself immensely. It was
Yes.
insanely beautiful.
fish. We ate
They ate fish. I
conch
ate
shells,
hamburgers.
conch
I
shells,
did eat some
or
conch.
Not the shells. We didn't eat the
The
shells.
shells aren't
we ate
as
the thing
delicious
in the inside
as
of
the
the
meat
shells.
of the conch. That's just another heads up tip.
Oh, it was really
And I ate
good.
it. And it was good. It was
Yeah.
really, really chewy.
A little bit like
Clam
octopus or
Don't know octopus taste, but it was,
or calamari.
Yeah. No, it
kind of
was
chewy
chewy.
like that.
It
Yeah.
was a salad with
But tasty.
Yeah, it was tasty.
And that salad, they made it like with a ceviche kind of lime sauce.
For sure.
Delicious. Super
So even
fresh.
every once in a while, I can enjoy some fish
That's
food.
right. That's right.
Indeed.
Fish food.
Fish food. Just
Seafood.
the flakes.
Just seafood.
That's how
Not fish food.
unfish friendly I am. But anywho.
Was even more incredible than the flight to the Bimini Islands. We even got our own little tour of Miami.
Yeah.
Miami is such an incredible city. I always wanted to see it for its Art Deco and its colors and its vibrant Cuban American culture, and we got to experience a lot of that. We ate at the world's most famous Cuban restaurant called Versailles. We, after our flight around the city, we also got to drive around with Leo and see the whole city that way as well. And wow, what a beautiful city. There are these gorgeous trees there, like there are throughout Florida.
Yeah, for sure.
But you can really tell that some of these are really historic, and they have that Spanish moss growing on them. They have mangrove forests, beaches everywhere, gorgeous beaches, and those beautiful glittering skyscrapers and high rises. It's just a gorgeous city.
Yeah.
It, and I almost didn't want to leave, but eventually we knew we had to leave. Gosh, we had such an amazing time in the Bahamas. So thank you, Leo. Thank you, Leo's family. Thank you, everyone who supported us to get us to the Bahamas. And even though we had to leave our motorcycle behind, it was an experience.
It was still an adventure,
yes,
for sure.
Quite an adventure. I hope you guys liked this episode. If you did, please give us a big thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe below. And I hope to be seeing you next time in our next episode, where we're going to have even more adventures as we go back north from Florida and eventually have some
grand finale of Florida, which was one of my favorite things.
Yes.
So stay tuned, guys.
Incredible. So thank you guys for watching. Bye.
Peace.